Over 200 years ago, when America was just 13 colonies, there lived a super smart guy. You may have heard of him. His name was Benjamin Franklin, but most people called him Ben. The story is about how Ben invented magic squares. But first, there are a few things you need to know about this great man. Ben Franklin wasn't smart for nothing. He put his big brain to good use. He was always thinking and writing and inventing cool things, even when he was a kid. When he was 11 years old, Ben jumped into a lake holding on to a kite. The kite was pulled by the wind. Ben was pulled by the kite. The kite flew a whole mile with Ben holding on tight. That same year, Ben wanted to swim faster than anyone, so he made flippers for his hands and feet. They worked. People still use a version of Ben's flippers today. As Ben grew older, he kept thinking and writing and inventing. When he was 23, he wrote and printed a newspaper called the Pennsylvania Gazette. People loved it. When he was 26, Ben wrote and printed a book called Poor Richard's Almanac. An almanac is a book of useful information, from weather predictions and advertisements to important dates. Ben's almanacs had even more things in them. There were witty sayings. Witty means clever, and fun puzzles. You know what fun means. People still use many of Ben's sayings today. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Never put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Fish and visitors stink in 3 days. There never was a good war or a bad peace. Nothing is certain but death and taxes. Lost time is never found again. When Ben was 36, he'd invented a special stove. It kept homes warmer than a fire in a fireplace and burned less wood. Everyone was amazed. People still use Franklin stoves today. Ben never outgrew his love for kites. Ben never outgrew his love of kites. When he was 46, he tied a key to a kite string and flew the kite in a thunderstorm. This was not a safe thing to do, but Ben did find out that lightning was made of electricity, and electricity is used today as well. Once Ben even invented a special rocking chair. It had a fan on top. Ben rocked back and forth, and the fan swished this way and that. It really kept the flies off his head. No one else ever used this invention. Not in Ben's time and not in ours. Over the years, Ben also started America's first library, America's first fire station, and America's first hospital too. He even helped Thomas Jefferson write and rewrite the Declaration of Independence in 1776. So you get the idea that Ben Franklin was a super busy guy, right? Then you are ready for the story of the magic squares. It all started in the middle of Ben's life in 1736. That year, he became a clerk for the Pennsylvania Colonial Assembly. The assembly was a group of men who made laws for the colony of Pennsylvania. A clerk was the person who kept track of all the important decisions they made. The guys in the assembly chose Ben to be a clerk because they knew he was super smart and a great writer. Ben listened carefully to the men in the assembly. He couldn't write anything down till they agreed on something, so Ben waited and waited. For days, he listened to long arguments about which laws were good and which laws were bad. For more days, Ben listened to fights about taxes and bills. And for even more days, Ben listened to disagreements about numbers and money, city streets and state laws, until one day, the members of the assembly were not happy. Mr. Franklin, one of them said loudly. Ben woke up. He was very embarrassed. "I'm so sorry," he said. Everyone went back to work. The men argued. Ben listened and listened. He kept his ears open and his eyes open. It was very hard. Day turned into night, and the assemblyman still argued. Ben found out it was easier to stay awake if his hands were busy. He twiddled his thumbs. He tickled his nose with his quill pen. He dipped his pen in ink and started to doodle. Ben doodled people. Ben doodled new inventions. Ben even doodled a doodle of his pet squirrel, Skunk. The men in the assembly were still arguing, so Ben decided to doodle a math puzzle. He drew a square, then he drew 2 lines going up and down, and 2 lines going left and right. This made 9 boxes in one big box. Ben wrote a different number in each box. He stared at the box of numbers. He waited for an idea to pop into his head. Ben noticed something. When he added the numbers in the first row, that equals 15. When he added the numbers in the first column, they equaled 15 as well. Now Ben wondered if he could make the numbers add up to 15 no matter which row or column he picked. What if they even added up to 15 in a diagonal line? That would be more than a math puzzle. It would be a magic square. Ben started arranging the numbers, sorting the numbers, and rearranging the numbers. Ben was thinking so hard about his magic square that he was not sleepy at all. Finally, he saw what needed to be done. First, he wrote a 1 in the center box of the top row. Next, he wrote a 2 in the last box of the third row. He wrote a 3 in the first box of the second row. Then Ben wrote a 4 in the bottom box of the first column. He wrote a 5 in the box in the center. Then a 6 in the third box of the first row. Under the 6, Ben wrote a 7. Ben wrote an 8 inside the first box of the top row. Finally, he wrote a 9 in the only box left. Was it a magic square? Ben started adding. Each row and column added up to 15. Even the diagonal ones added up to 15. "It's magically magic," Ben shouted. He had made a magic square. After that, Ben never dozed off at the assembly again. Instead, he doodled magic squares until either the assemblyman finally made a decision or... How about lights on all the streets so people can see at night? He had a good idea of his own for them. Ben went on to publish his magic squares in his newspapers and almanacs. People loved figuring out the magic answers. And they still do. Can you make your own magic square? Well, no one knows exactly how or exactly when Ben Franklin came up with magic squares, but we do know these things. He really did get bored when he was a clerk in the Pennsylvania Colonial Assembly. He definitely made magic squares. In 1736 and 1737, he called the magic squares his most magically magical magic squares. He really invented them and made up all the things in this book, plus a lot more. He really did have a pet squirrel named Skunk. The end. The following part of the video is the Chinese translation of the story. 接下来我们要用中文解释这篇故事给你听。在200多年前，美国还只是13个殖民地的时候，有一位超级聪明的人，你大概听过他的名字，叫做 Benjamin Franklin。不过呢，大家都叫他班。这个故事要说的是班，就是 Ben 怎么发明魔方阵，就是 Magic Squares。不过开始之前，先来认识一下这位了不起的人。Ben Franklin， 他的聪明可不是没有道理的。他把脑袋用在有用的地方，总是想东想西，写东写西，发明各种酷东西。就算他还是小孩子的时候也是一样哦。他11岁那一年，抓着风筝跳进湖里，风筝被风拉着飞，那 Ben 呢就被风筝拉着走。风筝带着 Ben 飞了一整个英里，他一路紧紧抓住不放。同一年 Ben 想要游得比任何人都快，所以他自己做了蛙鞋，是给手跟脚用的，结果真的有效耶。现在人们的蛙鞋就是从 Ben 的 idea 去演变而来的。Ben 长大后还是一直想，一直写，一直发明。23岁的时候，他写了也印刷了一份报纸，叫做 Pennsylvania 公报，大家都很爱看。在他26岁的时候，他又写了一本书，也印出来，它叫做可怜的查理年鉴。年鉴是一种提供实用资讯的书，从天气预报、广告到重要日期都有。Ben 的年鉴里还多了很多的东西，像是机智的谚语，机智就是聪明、有趣和好玩的谜题。你知道好玩是什么意思吧？到现在人们都还常常使用Ben 的一些谚语，比方说 Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy and wise。 早睡早起让一个人可以很健康、很富有、很聪明。An apple a day keeps the doctor away。 一天一苹果，医生远离我。Never put off till tomorrow what you can do today。 今日事今日毕。Fish and visitors stink in 3 days。 鱼肉跟拜访的客人都一样，3天后就会臭掉了。There never was a good war or a bad peace。 从来就不会有一种好的战争或者不好的和平。Nothing is certain but death and taxes。 除了死亡和缴税以外，没有什么东西是不变的。Lost time is never found again。 时光一旦浪费了，就不会再找回来。36岁的时候， Ben 发明了一种特别的火炉，它比壁炉更保暖，也更加的省木材，大家都觉得很神奇。人们今天还在使用这种富兰克林火炉。那 Ben 对于风筝的热情从来就没有消失过。他46岁的时候，把一把钥匙绑在风筝线上，在打雷下雨的时候，他去放了风筝。这可不是安全的事情，但他真的发现了闪电是由电所组成的，而电力到今天仍被广泛的使用。有一次呢， Ben 甚至发明了一张特别的摇椅，上面还装了一个扇子，他一边摇一边扇子就左右摇摆，真的能把苍蝇赶走。不过这个发明在 Ben 的时代没有人用，在我们的现在也没有。多年来 Ben 还创办了美国第一座图书馆、第一个消防队，以及美国第一家医院。他甚至在1776年帮 Thomas Jefferson 写了也修改了独立宣言，所以你应该可以感觉到 Ben Franklin 真的是超级忙的吧？那么你就已经准备好要来听魔方阵的故事了。 这一切开始于1736年 ，Ben 当上了Pennsylvania 这个殖民地的议会的书记。议会呢是一群替殖民地制定法律的人，书记就是负责记录他们重要决定的人。议会选 Ben 当书记，是因为他们知道他又聪明又会写。Ben 仔细听着议会的讨论，只有在他们达成一致时，才能记录下来。所以他等啊等，听啊听，听他们争论哪些法律好，哪些不好，听他们为税金账单吵架，听他们为数字、钱、街道、州法律争个不停，直到有一天，议会成员不高兴了。富兰克林先生，其中一人大喊。Ben 惊醒过来，觉得超不好意思的。真对不起，他这么说。大家又回去工作，男人们继续争论 ，Ben 继续听，他眼睛耳朵都打开，超级累的。Ben 发现，如果让手指动一动，比较不会打瞌睡。他转动了拇指，用羽毛笔绕鼻子，把笔沾上墨水，开始涂鸦。Ben 涂鸦人物，涂鸦新发明。还画了他的宠物松鼠 Skunk。议会的人还在吵，于是 Ben 决定画一道数学谜题。他画了一个正方形，再画2条上下的线和2条左右的线，把大方格分成9个小方格。他盯着这些数字，等灵感来。Ben 发现，第一横列的数字加起来等于15。第一直行的数字加起来也等于15。Ben 想，能不能不管哪一列哪一行加起来都等于15，甚至连对角线也等于15，那就不只是数学谜题了，而是魔方阵了。Ben 开始摆数字，排序，重排，他脑子里全是魔方阵，一点也不困。最后，他找到诀窍了，先在上排的中间格写一个1，再在第3排的最后一格写个2，然后在第2排的第一格写个3，接着在第一列的最底格写4，在正中间的格子写5，在第1排第3格写6，在6的下面写7。最后，在最上排的第一格写8，最后在唯一剩下的格子内写9。这是魔方阵吗？ Ben 开始加总，每一行每一列都等于15，连对角线也等于15。这真是魔法中的魔法啊！ Ben 大声地喊道。他创造出了一个魔方阵。从那之后，Ben 在议会上再也没有打瞌睡，他一直画魔方阵，直到议会终于做出了决定，或者是他自己有了好点子。之后 Ben 在他的报纸和年鉴上发行了魔方阵，人们非常喜欢解这些魔法答案，直到今天，他们还是很喜欢。I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something. Until next time, bye bye.